everyone, welcome to my channel Chords Records. It's Katie. I want to show you 10 albums that I acquired from Dylan at Noble Records during his Voice of America Whatnot auctions. Many of you would know that Dylan acquired a massive collection from the Voice of America archives. I'll link to his video below explaining how that happened. But over the course of a couple of months, he's been doing Whatnot auctions. Whatnot is a platform where you can live auction material, and a lot of vinyl collectors do it. So he has been doing these massive, like 4, 5, 6 hour Whatnot streams where he's been auctioning off albums from this collection. Now, what is Voice of America? Most of you will probably know better than I if you're American watching or even the UK, but Voice of America started in, I think it was in the 30s or 40s, to offset Nazi propaganda. It's a American government-owned radio broadcaster who broadcasts to non-Americans outside of America, and it's supposed to be unbiased. And so a lot of it was what's going on in the world, like classic Martin Luther King speech, for example, in the 60s was a famous one. And they also played music. Now, this collection had thousands and thousands of albums, many of which were in VG Plus or excellent condition. I jumped on quite a few of the auctions more for the entertainment. It was quite fun. And I did purchase a few that I just wanted for my collection. It's really hard for Australians to purchase from this because Whatnot usually gets higher prices than you could probably get on Discogs. So you're kind of buying on impulse, and you're paying kind of a little bit overs. Sometimes you can get a bargain. But the exchange rate is terrible. It's almost around 60 cents in the dollar. So I'm paying almost twice as much as probably what it's worth, plus the shipping, which is exorbitant, and then the exchange rate on the shipping. So a $40 record can end up costing $100. And so for most of these albums, I'm pretty sure I paid over, but every single one of them I do not regret. So I'm going to quickly take you through the 10 that I wanted to feature. I ended up getting 13 in the end. But the 10 I want to feature, I'm just so happy to have them. And let me know in the comments if you acquired any and how happy you were with the product. I'm going to go in chronological order in the year that the albums were released. And the first one is Bird on a Wire by Tim Hardin. All of the Voice of America albums come with they're really interesting radio numbers kind of on here, and I'm not going to remove them. That's kind of part of the artifact. A lot of them came with the radio white strip, and some of them were promos that were either stamped or white label. So this one had the strip on it. This one was a 1971 US original. This is such a beautiful Tim Hardin album. If you know Tim Hardin from the sort of the 60s folkish scene, this is funky. This is a funky 1971 album of his. And in fact, it has 3 members of Weather Report playing on this. Some of the tracks on here you'll know from other artists, and he does such a beautiful job. One of them is Georgia, that classic song, and one of them is their beautiful song which has been covered a million times, A Satisfied Mind. My favorite of that is Jeff Buckley. So I'm just going to show you this. I got it on the Circle Red Columbia. The interesting thing about the Voice of America collection that was being sold by Dylan was he just kindly, and it's these small 1%ers which do make a difference in my mind. He kindly put a little sticker in there in every single one, so that just says Voice of America. And you can do what you want with them, but I've just kept them with the album. I mean, I think the idea is to stick them on the sleeve, whatever, so it can identify what collection it came from. But I've just popped it in every album and just kept it there. And I've cleaned everyone and sleeved everyone, although most of them are in excellent condition. So this Tim Hardin one also has the beautiful, it's called The Inner Sleeve, and it's this almost like a newspaper talking about albums coming out at the time. And I was quite delighted. If you have seen some of my past videos, it has this beautiful kind of writing up of Laura Nyro on there. So that was really exciting for me to have as a bonus. So that was my first Voice of America. And the second one is an album I'd never even heard of. I hadn't heard of the band. And this happened a few times. The way Dylan spoke about it, and he's an excellent salesperson and probably gets you to buy stuff that you potentially don't need. There are a few in here that I thought, I'm going to get that, because I always trying to educate myself on music that I don't know. And this was a 60s band called Honeycomb, a slightly dubious name of the band, which apparently they did protest at the time, but they ended up agreeing to it. This is really fantastic. This is funky soul. Think the Vandellas, that kind of female trio harmony, almost a bit Brill Building. Really fantastic album. This was on Hot Wax label. Right. Another one from 1971 is this fantastic English blues rock band called Savoy Brown. And this album is Street Corner Talking. This is a gem of an album. I'll just get it out here so you can have a look at the full experience. Look at this cover. Like, you can even hear the crack. It's so mint. But look at that hysterical cover in kind of cartoon. It's a very matte kind of finish, and then the band members. I'll tell you who the band members are of Savoy Brown: Dave Walker, Dave Bidwell, Kim Simmons, and Paul Raymond. Not super into blues. I don't have a lot of blues, but this British blues rock band is amazing. On the second side, there's a 10-minute blues track. Oh, it's so fantastic. And this was on the Parrot label. And I'll just get that out so you can see it better. Comes with the inner sleeve. This is in almost excellent condition. Absolutely beautiful. And the actual cover, it's got a tiny little seam split on the bottom. It's not a promo, but it's got the numbers, as you can see, up the top there. All right. The next one is from the classic. I collect Elton John, and I just thought it would be fantastic to have an Elton John from the Voice of America collection. I have this album. I've got the original Australian. I've got the DJM pressing. This is Uni, actually. This is on the Uni label, which was a short-lived sub-label in the 70s. Beautiful condition. Very, very happy to have this. Half of these albums were originals, and then some of them were like several years later, and I'm not quite sure how that works with radio stations. And you certainly didn't know when you were buying them what year you were getting. Obviously, Dylan wouldn't have time to go through the details of that. The next one was Bobby Gentry, Ode to Billy Joe. Again, just really fantastic to have the Voice of America version of this, mainly because all the albums are in such beautiful condition. This one isn't a promo. It's just got the number on it. It's not the original year. Obviously, this album came out in 1967, and this Capitol label's from the early 70s, 72 to 75. So that yellow and orange. So it's around then. The next one, boy, did he have a lot of Johnny Cash. Oh my God, there was a lot of Johnny Cash in this collection. I decided to buy one. This is just a compilation of his live music from prisons and live performances called Sunday Morning Coming Down. Obviously, the great Chris Christopherson song. This has got the radio strip there, and it's the round Columbia label. This one was from released in 1972, and my version's 1973. Right, this one was one of my favourite acquisitions of the collection. It's a band called Gentle Giant, a great British prog rock band. The reason I wanted to get this one was because of the beautiful version of Octopus. This is the second release that came out of Octopus. The original release was just a normal vinyl cover, and you can see the die cut of this jar shape of the album. I just absolutely love it, and hard to get that, that where they're not kind of beat up, and it's in pretty good nick on the Columbia label there. Right, the next one is one I also already have, and I really just wanted to get it for the Voice of America collection, and that's my I absolutely adore this artist, Patti Smith. Obviously, this is her debut album, Horses, on Arista. This is the Peter Pan press from 1975, the original, and it's obviously cut by Bob Ludwig, RL in the Dead Wax, and fantastic album, produced by John Cale from the Velvet Underground. You can see the Arista label there. So happy to have that. Let me just have a look at this one. Yeah, it's got the numbers on the back there. This one was a fun one. This one was from 76, sorry. I was so happy to win this. I paid way too much money for it. It's the original 1976 release of the punk rock, let's just call it rock, female outfit, the Runaways with Joan Jett. Fantastic to have this on from the Voice of America collection. I'll just get the album out. This has got the gold not for sale on it. It actually had this sleeve in it. I have no idea who these people are or what this means. I don't know if it came with it, what it was about. And that was the label. So I was super happy to have that. I've played all of these. The only problem with this one and my John Lennon and my Elton John one was the package got dinged in transit, and it's got a big corner ding on there, which was a little bit unfortunate, because other than that, it's in pristine shape. So finally, the last album I want to show, we jump forward now to 1981, and it's a new wave classic, the debut album of Tubeway Army, featuring Gary Newman. If you know this album, you know this is not the original cover. This is a re-release from around about, this is 1978, but this is the 1981 version, after they'd had their subsequent hit record, and this one was re-released with his silhouette face on it. And so just wanted to get this promo gold stamped, obviously, and the usual numbers on the back. This is the only one I haven't put in my sleeve yet, Atco, and the radio strip on the back there. So that is it, and I wanted to thank Dylan for doing that. I mean, it's such a good business model for him. He's obviously doing very well out of it, and I wish him all the best with it. And I've seen a few people kind of complaining that they're paying too much, or he's charging too much. You don't have to buy them. You should know what they're worth. It's not his problem, and I would defend any record seller to the death on that. I think it's purely up to the buyer about what they pay for a record and what it's worth to them. So I really appreciated the opportunity just to get a little slice of that collection. So I've got 13 albums. The other 2 albums I've got, the other 3 albums, I've got a Joni Mitchell because I collect her. I've got a Buffy St. Marie, and finally I've got a Billie Holiday that came with a 7-inch. They're just a kind of sort of interesting artifacts for me. So that's my collection from Voice of America. Please subscribe, please thumbs up, and please tell me in the comments below if you acquired any from the Voice of America and what you thought and what were they like. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.